Welcome to the Mindful Nuggets podcast, where faith, mindset, and transformation collide with real conversation.
We're your hosts, William and Michelle, founders of Mindset Community, based in cultivate, and thrive, health, wealth, and motivation.
Here, your words shape your world. Your values define your path. Your faith fuels your future.
So if you're ready to break free, rebuild, and step boldly into your next chapter, you're in the right place. Well, welcome back to Mindful Nuggets podcast. I'm Michelle Rawls, your co-host here with Mr. William Goodwin. And welcome back, Mr. Goodwin. It's another Monday night.
Monday. You know the song, Monday.
Monday. All
We're
right.
here. We're alive. God gave us another week to live. And what did we
That's
create, or what did we
sweet.
live in scarcity today?
What did we create this week? What did we
Yeah.
create? That's a great question. We're going to talk about that, what we
Yeah.
created this week. All right. So tonight, actually, we are going to talk about why be nervous? Why are you nervous? I know that's bringing a lot of questions right now, but we're going to go ahead and talk about our success series. That's what we have been speaking upon. So tonight, Mr. Goodwin, are we going to talk about the identity code, the nervous system, and becoming? Now, that's a lot. That's a lot to put in one podcast. So you think we can make
Well,
this happen?
yeah, we can go deep there. It's yeah, you're right. It's going to be probably more than one, but yeah, what is an identity code? That's probably what everybody. What are you talking about? What kind of
Yeah.
well, let's.
Yeah, an identity code. What is that? So
I don't know. That's kind of the buzzword that's going around in the industry. I know there's a few people using it now. They're using some studyologies of some sort to derive how who you are, your identity, and all those different things. But simply the way I interpret it, the way I believe it is, it's just like you have good and evil in every one of us. We're capable of great good. We're capable of great horrible things, and humanity's proven that over and over since the beginning of time. But here's the thing: if to make it easy, identity code is: are you identifying you're living in survival all the time, or are you identifying creation all the time?
so we have
And
two identity codes, is what you're saying.
yeah,
We have a
they exist in
survival, and then
yeah
we have our creation.
creative side. Yeah, we all have it, and it's just what we choose to live in how we associate our identity, because we identify just like if you were your nurse, for example, and I come up to you and I know you're a nurse. Okay, so I identify as a nurse. I don't identify you as a nutritionist. I don't identify you as being a faith leader. I don't identify you know how to garden, grow plants, and all those different things.
So
All the
you're
different.
labeling me. That's what you're saying. You're labeling me.
Well, that's the identity, yeah, and then
Right.
we label ourselves because that's what we believe we are. And then
Okay.
if we want to shift that identity, we got to believe that we are that person, not trying to be that person, but actually are that person. So basically, what would be a good example? Okay, I'm a runner. Well, actually, I'm not a runner. But in order for me to believe I'm a runner, most of us will think, well, I've got to do all these things first before I can be a runner. So I've got to work my way up to being a 5K. I've got to be able to do a certain distance in a certain time before I'm a qualified runner. Well, that's not how you become a runner. You become a runner when you say you are.
Right.
And then
From the
everything
moment
else.
that you speak it.
That's right. Everything
Sure.
else catches up to that.
Right.
You may be a sloppy, klutzy, out of breath runner, but the point is, there'll be a day when all that catches up to your body, your mind, everything about you is a runner. But if you don't declare it first, you'll never get there because you won't believe it.
Right.
And that's the thing. That's the survivor, the strife mode. That's all in us. We don't want to believe that's true. We won't accept that because we're saying something what our belief system believes to be false. But you have to be able to overcome that and say, I am, in order for everything to line up and act like you're a runner on it. And so, creativity is the same way. If you're in survival, you don't create. Well, even a better example, if you had a saber-toothed tiger chasing after you, you're not going to be creating right now. Well, you might be creating in a crafty way to go hide and protect yourself. That's more
Right,
survival.
but you're in survival.
You're survival for your life. You don't want to be eaten.
Right?
So, you might get a creative way to, to defeat the tiger, but more likely you're in survival mode running. A lot of us is in live that way on a perpetual basis. And this is where we're really in trouble because it's depleting. We get tired, we're worn out, the resources burn up. Our ability to have thoughts and creativity can't exist at the same time you're in survival mode, to where we're productive and energy giving, life giving,
Well,
and
let's
creating
talk
new
about
sets of
survival
beings.
mode. Let's
Yeah.
dive into survival mode.
Yeah. What
Because
is
I
what?
really believe that that's where a lot of people stay
I agree.
until they either have a realization that they're there and they want more. But for the most part, as you and I well know, we were there at one point. We were surviving. We were not thriving. We weren't even in creation.
What you don't even know you're okay. Here's a good example of that. If I was a fish, I wouldn't know I was underwater until I was out of water.
Right.
And so if I'm out of water, I realize now I am surviving right now. I'm trying to get my breath in.
Absolutely, yes, you are. You're trying
All
to get
right.
breath
All
in
right.
here.
When I go back in the water, that's my comfort zone. And that's where I live. And then I know when I get out of water, I get scared.
Right, it's
And so,
what you know.
okay, so that's your body, your brain, all those things are reacting to you stepping out of your comfort zone, out of the
Mhm.
water into something you don't know. And that's a mentality. I mean, we're wired for that. If we take that big of a step, we get the warning sign, really, danger, Will Robertson, danger. You're stepping into a place we don't know, and that's the same mechanism that protects us from the saber-toothed tiger than trying to swallow us and chew us up.
Right.
So, but how do you know you're in survival mode? Well, we go to work a lot of times and we don't have our needs met. And so we're working more, finding out ways to navigate through this and provide what we need. But all those things are still in survival mode because now we're doing everything we can to keep our head above water. Mouth's a little dry. But anyway, well, how can you create that? Well, we got to shift, mind shift. Yeah, shift gears. And we got to create. So for survival mode, we avoid risk, right?
If you're in survival mode, I would say yes, 90% of the time people will not take a risk because they either believe that they can't, which they're right, because they say they can't, or they don't have that ability at that point in time until they work through some things, of course, to make that shift. They've got to make that pivot.
Right. Well, um, sorry about that. My throat and the temperature and all that stuff.
So we were talking about making that pivot. How can they come from surviving, knowing that they need to have some type of realization at this point, which is what you and I have spoken so much on, is how to not stay in comfort, but to actually move and take action into what we know we need to do and take those risks that we know we need to take, but we're scared to take.
What if all right, let's look at it from the opportunity side of the place. Survival mode is averse to risk. Risk is a is an opportunity killer. So we don't, when we encounter something that we're not familiar with, and we live in scarcity, what's the first thing that comes to mind? All right, so what happens if I show you that the foods like we eat, or let's better yet, let's go medicine. Let's go medicine. And let's go with pharmaceuticals for example. I was of the belief that in order to get my blood pressure under control, I had to have blood pressure medicine. And when the idea of using different herbs in combination and some oils, breathing techniques, um, other mindset, all those different things, all those are quite capable of doing the same thing that the medicine is.
But were you aware of them?
To some extent, yes, and some extent, no.
And what
Okay,
was the hesitation for not?
because here's what I believed. Okay, it's definitely not what I believe now because I know
Right.
what's in the medicines now. But earlier on, I believed that these are the only things that can protect me and keep this down. But never did I realize what was at the root of driving that train, why my blood pressure was up. And if I just took the herbs and stuff out of the field, they would never work because they weren't scientifically engineered to do what they were supposed to do. The medicine is. Well, come to find out, that medicine causes more harm than it does good a lot of times from all side effects. So pick your poison, if you will. But yet, if I had taken the right mix of different herbs and things like that, I got a better result without side effects. And
You
then,
didn't know that before. You didn't know
no,
that.
but then, no, until you get educated. And this, in order for you to get educated, first you got to be aware and curious. And before that, you can't be in survival mode
So what
because
shift
survival.
was necessary then for you to make? And what was the shift that you made? Because that's
Well,
important.
two things. One, after I went through all my health challenges about 6 years ago or so, um, and all the things I had to take, it started. A lot of things I was taking is causing some after effects that kept me foggy, kept my energy low. I take medicine that caused me to gain weight, prednisone, for example, because I have to take it all the time. And so when your weight goes up, you're normally dead. The effects from that is blood pressure goes up. All sorts of things start happening when that happens
Yeah.
on it. But all these were driven things. It's just like, okay, now I'm a diabetic because of the prednisone, because it inhibits the insulin. And none of these medicines are curing the problem. And so, how can I get off these medicines? Is what I thought. Some I can't because I had to have an immunosuppressant. Well, what can I substitute that will work and not create? So I did education. I found you, which you gave me a great education and navigation through a lot. Plus, my wife doing her own research. And I come to realize that all the medicines have a root in God's supplies anyway that He makes for us. What we've lost is the ability to use those and understand what goes with what and what does it affect
Right.
on it. And because it's all been driven by a business model of, well, you got to take this. And the doctors are trained in this in school. They're trained in and as they go through their careers that the insurance companies, they bring this and they need to support that and you need to take that. If you don't take that, then it gets doctors, well, then you're a rebellious patient and I can't deal with it because if I can't prescribe this to you, then I get punished because I'm not doing my job and so forth. It's just a vicious circle. But what I came out, most of this was exactly what it doesn't appear to be, but it is when you pull yourself out of that to the 10,000 foot level. Somebody make a machine, it's greed. And there's an alternative to live without having to be chained to all that. And so the more I went through, the more things I've learned. Well, okay, well, the foods, for one, is a big driver in our health concerns at the moment because
Yeah.
you can't tell what is really, what would be called, um, oh, what's the word, Michelle? Oh my goodness, organic.
Oh, you're talking about the difference between?
Yeah, well, yeah. Well, okay. So the food that, okay, so all of a sudden this food's no good. It's bioengineered. There's junk in it that we never knew was junk in it. Some
Right.
things that would just shock you to believe that there's in a food and we eat it. Once you start doing it, it's a dirty industry. And then when they introduce organics, that's hilarious too, because in most organics, depending if it's a blue or black on the label, non-GMO or something like that, one's 10% of whatever they could fill in it, but it's 90% organic. So they can still put rat poison in it, basically, in
You can
10%.
still
You
call it
just,
organic.
yeah, and they still call it organic. Or if it's the blue label, if I believe it's 70%. So really not getting organic. And even if it was 100% organic, it's in soil that's overdone, so you don't get the nutrients
Right.
on it.
Right.
And so now you understand the game. So the risk of not knowing and staying where I am is much higher to my detriment than it is to take the risk and explore something new and get educated and start making decisions. Once I understand that separation, that I can be aware and I'm able to go out and read, educate, I notice my survival mode is starting to change. It is not so much survival, it's what can be. And so I get curious. And then when you get curious, you get creative too. And so that's a shift that it may not be a big, just, aha moment. Sometimes it is, but it's sometimes these little steps that you take in little education. It's like having the candle and going into that dark space. And then, okay, this is math. I understand it. So I don't fear that anymore. Okay. I can actually becoming like a fun exploration to me. So what can I see next? And it goes on and on until you start building your mind. And there's no fear in that at this point. You're living it. You're enjoying it. You're finding out things that were actually harming you. You understand what they are and you can keep them away. And now you understand new things that are actually good for you. That's actually made for you. That really did come from the ground that you could pick and eat. And it serves you much better than all these things they're promoting. And then you look at the industry, we're so promoted to and marketed to. A lot of our beliefs are shaped around that. And it's been around a lot. Chemical cleaners, for example, a lot of them are byproducts. Crisco, for example, I used to make that, use that in cornbread because that's what we did. So what
Right.
my parents did, and so forth. That's hydrogenated byproduct of junk
Yeah, it is.
that is formulated to taste good, but it is deadly to your body over
I would
time.
say it's highly toxic to the
Yeah.
body. So,
Okay. So when you learn that, you think that's a normal thing. That's what you use. And then you realize what it is, where it is, you drop it.
but
It's no longer on the menu.
let's go back to the very beginning of it though. You know, I mean, just we'll use Crisco as an example since you tossed it out there. Um,
Not to
your
bash the
parents,
brand, but it's just
right?
bad.
But we do know that that is how our parents cooked. Okay, so let's go. We go with what we know.
Okay.
Okay, we go with what we know, and then that leads us to stay in our comfort because we are unwilling to look at other possibilities unless we've had some evidence per se. We'll just use that as an example that shows us differently, or we
Okay.
have
Mhm.
someone, who can show us differently. So, where does that shift begin? Where does it start? Where does that first mind piece come in that says, I need to make a shift?
I was thinking along those exact same lines. Where's that shit come? Because I was going to bring up, it's like, okay, Michelle, quit using that. Avocado oil is a much better substitute. Olive oil from a single source is a much better use of it and fuels your body. It transports the food, protects your brain barrier, blood-brain barrier. It
Mhm.
reduces all the oxidation in your body, reduces the cell inflammation, rigidity, and all those things. So all that is great for you. When I tell you all that, it's just gonna bounce off and say, okay, you may hear it, and then next thing you know, you're going back to Frisco again
Right, right.
because it's a habit, and it's a habit. Well, what changes that habit is one thing: you did try it and experience something, and it made a difference in your energy. For example, you felt better.
Mhm.
Okay, well, if I felt better and I associated that because I dropped the Crisco and picked up the olive oil or avocado oil, the right ones, then all of a sudden I've got more energy. If I
Right.
make that connection, then say, well, if that's one thing, what else is there?
So this is all
Or,
my evidence.
yeah, right. Or you have a life experience that is critical that if you don't change and you keep on the same path, you know you're going to die from it, or it's going to cause you so much pain. You don't want to do that anymore.
Which is
So
what
that,
happened to us. That
which,
is
okay, so the
exactly what
pain,
happened to us.
right. So those are really the only things that really get, otherwise we just keep doing what we're doing. Because, you're not ready to receive that message yet on it. And I know we got time this airs, but Trish Lynn's coming in too this coming Tuesday at the Nugget Lounge. And by the way, if you are not joining the Nugget Lounge, you need to, because this is a place where we get to learn. We learn as well as other people that come in, because that's the whole purpose of the lounge, is to get exposure to new opportunities, new ideas, new points of view, a way to look at life and
Right.
look at it from God's principles and look at it from a way of a holistic way of being in your life. And what Trish is coming in, and she's real good at this, is helping women who've gone through some pretty traumatic experiences who are afraid to be seen. And this is one that stays in scarcity and afraid to be seen, which is an identity of a survival code. And knowing that somebody might be out there that's willing to tear you apart or break you down and not have that sacred place of growth to where you become strong enough and your identity is strong enough to know that you are quite capable of overcoming. And a lot of these things, like our identities tied into products, services, beliefs, and all these different things, or the identities are trapped because somebody did something to us and made us feel bad. I mean, there's a lot of narcissism going on out there, and that's it reminds me a lot of Psalms 91 in the verse 3, where the fowler sets a snare, and then in follows pestilence, and that's a lot of that. You're being chased, and you're afraid to come out of that. It's like that saber-toothed tiger coming after you all the time. You can't blossom in this, and so therefore we stay in that state and we never shine, and we're afraid to come out and be our true selves and be creative and provide a better life for not only yourself but for other people, because you can exist on it. And that's a hard transition.
Right.
It really, I mean, it doesn't matter who you are. It's I'm afraid to step outside because I might get shot, type of thing.
I
Or I
mean,
don't,
that's true,
yeah, or I don't feel worthy of it because I'm not worthy. Is what the belief is, but that's not true either.
Right.
You are created for a reason and a purpose. It's just we've allowed these things to happen, and they don't come in a lot of times all of a sudden. They just creep in. The next thing you know, you're living in it. It's just like I'm eating this Crisco all the time. I identify and understand what Crisco is. Then I identify that Crisco is not good for you, but I'm still using it. I just haven't got it in my life yet. And these things are small transitions.
Well, we continue to make excuses
We
for
hide. Yeah.
why, we are going to continue to use or why we're going to continue to be, rather than look outside that box and say, oh, over here, I could create this, or I can do this. I have the ability to do that. We sit in this little box, we put ourselves in that box, and that keeps us in survival mode at all times,
A
not
lot of times
pushing
it takes
that
it.
desire
Yeah.
to thrive.
It is. A lot of times it's putting your hand out to help another person. You see what's going on.
Right.
And this is very similar, like you and I, we put our hands out all the time to help people see past what they see and what they believe is to be true, to another way of existence, to see that is not supporting you, that's holding you back, it's keeping you small, it's hurting you, it's hurting the people around you, and all those things. But you can't see you don't see that while you're living in it. It's really hard to see that. But I can tell you what, once you get exposed to something different and you see there's something more, and do you understand you're capable more, you deserve more, you were made for more. Well, that changes the game. That's the real transformation, is being able to get out there and say, I was this, but that's not who I am anymore. This is who I am now, and start living that life as it is true.
Right.
Then you get into from survival into the creative mode, into curiosity and becoming something that you're meant to be, and enjoying the life that comes with that.
I mean, that's where the creative mode is where you become who you're called to be. That's really where that creative mode comes in at. So who are you, and what were you created to be? What do you believe you were created to be?
I'm a guy that's supposed to have fun and bring a bunch of people along with me and show a better way of life that it liberates them, brings freedom. And I've been working on that my whole life. As how do I accomplish this? And but I was burdened down with a lot of beliefs that I wasn't, that a lot of these things will work for other people, it wouldn't work for me, which is not true. On it, I'm not worthy because something beat me down earlier on, or adopted something, an experience, and tied an emotion to it that said I wasn't worthy. And then that was the script that played for a long, long, long time, for decades. And I believe that because, I mean, your subconscious doesn't have a moral compass to it. It believes what you tell it to believe, and it records it. Okay, well, this is who I am. So I go back to say that I'm a runner. Well, you got to go through the defense layer, your inner critic, your prefrontal lobe. That's the defense mechanism.
Right.
Trick it in a sense, like you're not taking these huge steps, like you're getting ready to bungee jump off a bridge. And of course, the real pucker factor that comes up with that for a lot of people, it starts getting real. Instead of working through, those big steps, like it always has been, and always will be, the small, consistent steps. Okay, today I'm a runner, and tomorrow I'm a runner. The next day I'm a runner. I'm a
Right.
runner. Start. All of a sudden, it becomes real. And the words that you say is the hearing. Faith comes by hearing, not by seeing.
Right.
And there's truth in that because you believe what you say you are. And then you see the evidence of it, like we were talking about with the Crisco and the olive oil. Then you see evidence. Well, that makes the faith become even more real, the belief become more real. And so the faith is increased and more action goes into play. It's reciprocal that way. And so it goes the other way too. Nothing happens immediately that makes you to believe and become where you are today. It's those small compounding things that you've done continuously that brought you there. So we get the choice, Michelle.
Right. We
And
get to
then,
choose.
yeah. So do we? Here's the thing. I think most for me was just accepting that my beliefs need a good checkup, because I noticed a lot of my beliefs put me where I was, and I didn't like where I was. I had great goals, big ambitions, things I wanted to create more than a lifetime. Yet it kept getting sabotaged, and I was down on myself. I never thought it'd be possible. That was a belief.
Okay, so tonight we're talking about why be nervous, and
And
we're
why I'd be nervous is because we
talking about
fear
the
the
nervous
change.
system. Right.
Yeah.
But we're talking about how the nervous system actually, it doesn't protect you from failure, it protects you from a transformation. The nervous system is your protection.
Yeah.
It will put you into that signal of, oh, danger, danger, or it will put you into a different aspect of how you really take action, but you're not taking action. You're taking little pieces and saying, "Yes, I did that," but yet you're still in that mode of that nervous system being, in that stability area where you're not actually able to get into that transformative state. So, how do we, because I know she's going to talk about this tomorrow, in the Nugget Lounge. Um, how do we actually step into letting that nervous system stay at a calm state and make that
That's
transition?
what I was talking about earlier. Just small steps. Don't trigger it. be
Find
aware of
what
what,
triggers it. Find what triggers it. Yes.
yeah, and then, yeah, well,
Identify.
well, better yet, find the emotion
Right.
that triggers it. What brings back the emotion, the flood of emotion? Um, Basically, reliving the things that the trauma or whatever it is that triggers. What
Yeah.
is the trigger? What is the emotion?
Right. Exactly. Exactly. You know, we're talking about limiting beliefs and how this, nervous system, is that system that, can guide you through
I
this
need to make a
creative
schematic,
experience.
Michelle. That's what I need to do.
Make a schematic.
Make a
Yeah,
schematic
you're
of
more of
this
the
stuff.
engineering side. I'm more of seeing it from the body aspect. I see the nervous system in my mind being the nurse and nutritionist that I am. So I'm seeing the nervous system and how it's firing through the body and putting up that protective state. That's what I see. How do you see it with the engineering side?
Well, okay, that's a great point, and I do have a reply to that. But first let's look at the nervous system. It's a tree, a mirror of a tree too. It goes down underground, and that's also above ground.
Okay.
So kind of it grows up like this through the arms and out and up to the head. It also goes down through the legs.
Right.
So it's kind of a tree. So now the central part is tied in together. That goes out. Everything is wired up through the spine that goes into your brain to the
Right.
cortex, and all that information is processed. Where you got a supercomputer up there, and then it sends signals back out. So it's input output. Now, so that's your nervous system, and that's a physical look at the nervous system. But when you trigger an emotion, it releases a chemical. Correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's my engineering look at it. We have synapses that fire, and they're fired based off a grouping of neurons in a pathway.
Right.
All right, and so when a chemical's released, they do a certain thing that is they're encoded. So when this happens, you discharge and fire this way on it. It's like a capacitor; it stores up energy, and when it comes time to release it, releases it. Well, that's great. Well, capacitors are used in timing, frequency, and all those different things. You put them together, you get different results and different timing.
Mm-hmm.
What it means to me is I can change a capacitor or even a battery. Battery retains what it remembers. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Yes, it does.
Okay. Well, in order to change that discharge, we need to remap that and change the frequency. And the only way you do that is understand what it is, when it fires, associate what it is, and not do that in such a way. And we'll replace that by taking small steps. Again, saying that I get to choose, I can respond, not react. And so these moments of pause, this moment that I choose to be, I don't react, all these different things creates a different chemical set in a response to that. So your synapses don't fire the same way. They fire differently. So they don't fire that immediate need to run, hide, adrenaline release, and all those things. Now we get in control of our body a lot more, and we get to respond to and change our direction. Because
Okay.
survival mode in the nervous system is reaction.
Right. Let's
All right.
talk
So
about that. So, where are we still protecting our old identity at this point?
the body never wants to die.
Right, exactly.
Okay.
That's a
So
great place to start, right?
that's one thing you're fighting is your body does not want to change. It does not want to
Yeah.
die. And it is people say that, transformation is easy, becoming more easy once you get there. No, it's not.
No,
It's
it's
always,
a
so
process.
it's always going to be the same. And I tell you this, it's going to be painful to make change. I mean, just frank about it. And
It's
but we
all-step
want it,
process.
right.
It's
And
one
the reason
small
why we
step.
want to change is because we're in pain
Right.
for the
Exactly.
most. Okay.
Exactly.
So, all right. Well, pain is a truth teller for one. It doesn't lie to you.
It is.
Pain is a beautiful way of reminding us of what we don't want to do anymore. But it's
Mhm.
also a beautiful way to give us an opportunity to change. And also pain identifies an experience in our life. And then we can choose that, or learn from that experience and choose from that experience. Do I ever want to go through that again? Well, the answer is no. Then we go through the pain of making the changes. All right.
Right.
Well, the pain. Let's say I want to lose 20 pounds. I'm overweight. I has had a heart attack or something like that, um, or another health issue that's serious. Well, that's a lot of pain. But I'm gonna go through the pain of getting up and forcing myself to eat right. I'm gonna exercise. I'm gonna cause the pain of my muscles getting sore because I didn't use them like I am now. To go walk, exercise. But once I get through that pain, I come out much better, in much better shape, and more likely a much better person because one, I overcame the situation that brought me the pain. I remember what that was, so I don't want to go back there. And I did what it took and paid the price to become who I am now, so I don't have to face that same thing again. No, that's easy. But the thing is, we did it. And the thing
So
is,
who
we can
suffers
take
when we stay in
satisfaction and
survival
pride in
mode?
doing it. Huh?
Who suffers when we stay in survival mode?
Everybody.
Everybody does. That's right. Everybody suffers when we stay in
Yeah.
survival mode because if you're not actually moving in a creation mode, if you're staying in that survival, you never come out of that box. So
No.
therefore, each and every person is suffering. It's not just you.
Well, like God said, come before Him boldly.
Mm-hmm.
All right. If you ever face God directly, which we haven't, the only people that did directly outside of spirit and did it physically was with Jesus. All right.
Right.
This is the guy that walked on water. This is the guy that healed lepers. This is the guy that rebuked the storm and calmed the waters. All these different things that are way beyond our capacity to fully understand. I'd be a little afraid to go up and be bold with this dude.
I would be
And,
afraid to walk in front of Jesus and have this conversation. Yeah,
yeah, okay. And see what I'm saying? That's a nervous system thing.
that would be
Yeah, but
my
it's
protection kicking in.
but he tells us to be bold before him because when you're being bold before him, you're in alignment with him and believe. And he wants you to be bold with your life and not fear. He didn't design us to be live in fear. He
Right.
designed us to be bold in movement, in kingdom. Kingdom never sits still. It's always in movement. But yet we're afraid. And that's the flesh we get to wrestle with.
Right.
In
So
our
who gets
spirit,
blessed when we're in creation mode?
everybody gets to enjoy it because here's the shift. When you're in creation mode, you're not angry, you're not so tired that you fuss all the time. Your language changes to what
Yeah.
can be instead of I got to.
Right. I, I,
Uh,
I
you
have
know,
to instead you
yeah, I have
get
to.
to.
Not that I get to, is because I have to do it.
Yeah.
It's drudgery. It's life giving. Your energy shifts to a life of
Yeah.
contribution instead
True.
of a life of being taken from or taking. All those different things. It's a polarizing shift. And we were designed to be in creation, so is God. This is why we're here. He created the earth. And and he duplicated it. We're in his image. And so he expects us to create. He wants us to create. Yet most of us don't because we get trapped. We get trapped into chaos. We get trapped into consumption. We get trapped into everything. It's almost like, yeah, if you watch Wally, you recall that movie?
Hmm. Yes.
Everything became so convenient that we were so obese we couldn't even get up to see the life around us. We didn't even see the plant growing. And then when we saw the plant growing, it was kind of fearful at first, but once we recognized it, it was life.
Hmm.
We really hadn't seen the life. We hadn't lived the life. We worked it away, but we didn't live it
Right.
on it. And that's scarcity. When you're trading your life for everything and nothing's resulting, nothing's coming from it other than just a drudgery of it. We're living in a scarce world.
Well, let's talk about becoming.
Hmm. I feel like I'm being interviewed here.
Well, I mean,
This is a podcast after
it
all,
is.
right?
We're both discussing it. We're both discussing, the becoming, we both have had very similar, encounters with God. Um, We both realized that living, we weren't living the way we should have been living. We
Oh
were both
Lord,
given an
no. Lord,
opportunity.
no. It's just like, oh my gosh, here comes another day. Day number 2 out of 7,
Right.
nonstop, 12 to 18 hours a day. When's this thing going to end? When's it going to
Mhm.
bear fruit? Do I have to face all these people again? And do I have to do all this?
Right.
That's scarcity. Yeah, I'm breaking my tail to make this happen. There's no fruit coming from it. All those words you're hearing from my mouth right now are killing the seed too.
Exactly. You're speaking
Yeah,
that
that's
into
speaking to
existence.
scarcity.
Yes.
Mhm. Instead of I get up in the morning, I get to create something new. I get to create a digital asset. I get to create something that somebody else, it might enlighten them. It might make their quality of life better. It might be an opportunity that I can collaborate and meet new people. We can go on a venture and work together in a joint venture to create something great, and it'll be prosperous to everyone involved. All those different things are life giving. All right, I get to go out to the garden. I get to pick something fresh that I planted and God blessed me with a abundance out of the garden,
Right.
and I get to eat it. And then I get to eat that knowing that I didn't put any chemicals in it. It wasn't handled by somebody I don't know, and then putting things in it that shouldn't be.
That's right.
Okay, so I get to, and you see, there's this sense of fulfillment from every bit of that the world tries to take away when you're in scarcity. You don't have fulfillment. You have immediate satisfaction for a lot of things. That's why a lot of us go for immediate gratification because it releases the dopamine, and it's just that pleasure moment because we miss it so much and we need it so much. That's why we get caught up into that trap. When you're in creation mode, you get fulfilled is a totally different thing because now you're working towards something, you're seeing it grow, and you're seeing the possibilities, and you're getting rewarded by fulfillment. That also releases dopamine, but in a different way. It's not
Well,
that
so,
shot. It's not
I
the shot.
used
It's
to,
not the shot in the arm anymore. It's
right.
become a sense of purpose fulfilled. That's gratifying.
Yeah. You know, we're going on to, speaking on becoming who you kind of spoke on who you were. I know I spoke a little bit on who I was, but now who are we becoming? Now who are we actually becoming at this point? Because we
We have
stepped
become.
out. We took a huge step and said, let's do this. Let's put ourselves out there. Let's have these conversations. Let's build this. Let's grow this. We are reaching out on the daily to new relationships, new collaborations, new partnerships. We're constantly in a creation mode now because we've stepped out of that box. But who are we
See the habit.
becoming?
But who are we? Well, first and foremost, we're God's children.
Right?
He made us.
He made us. That's right. He created us.
He put us here for a purpose.
Yes, he did.
And as far as I can tell, we're walking in alignment with him because every time we turn around, there's something evidence that's showing he's here with us and things
Hmm.
are happening in our life. So if we want to declare who we are or what we are, there's two different things. Who I am is an identity. What we are is what we create.
Right.
All right. So I am I'm a nugget caster. That's what we're here right now. We're giving nuggets of wisdom. We're in a podcast. I'm a podcaster. And
Hmm.
so when I say I'm a podcaster, I believe it because that's what I'm creating right now with you.
Right.
All right. We're also a creator of the Mindful Nuggets. We have the Nugget Lounge. You have nutrition. I have mindset and words. We created assets around those to help other people become more in their life and awaken to the fact that we have limited beliefs and blind spots that need to be addressed. So we build a community. We're a community builder. We're builders.
So that we can
But
show
we
people the opportunity and possibilities.
Yeah.
Yes.
So okay. So that was a whole lot. People go out and ask what you do. I said, well, I don't really do. I create.
Right.
And then they look at what do you create? Okay. So that whole conversation shift to out of doing this, which is a lot of that scarcity because we don't know why we're doing it.
Right.
And if we're doing it without a vision and a purpose, then we're just doing it as making a bunch of doo-doo, really. And it's not creating anything that we want in our lives. It's not connected. It's not in alignment. It has no purpose. It's just doing this. And a lot of that's taught, well, you need to go do all these things, go get a job, you need to get married, you need to have children, you need a car, blah, blah, blah. That's doing this. That has nothing to do with creation. It has nothing to do with vision.
Right.
All right. So who am I? Again, I'm a child of God that walks with Him in creation to build something to help people achieve more in their life and become fulfilled and be fulfilled along the way as I go too. What can I build today that I can go build this sandbox, invite people in to come play and
You
see
get
what
to
can.
a point too when you're no longer in that scarcity mindset and you switch over to the creation mindset that you really do wake up. I know I do. I wake up every day saying, what can I create today?
Yeah, well, sometimes they get too much creation going on, and I'm not getting anything
That's
accomplished.
true. You can do
Yeah,
that.
yeah, yeah. So it brings on a whole new set of equations that are good to have when you're
Right.
like that, and it's sorting it out. Then you got to put into discipline of what is important, what's priority, and all those things. We need to knock those out first. More importantly, when you're in creation mode, you start understanding, well, I need to eat right. I need to fuel my body. I need to fuel my brain. So what I need to put into it is going to help me stretch, grow, and unlock doors that aren't open at the moment, but I know they're going to be because I'm continuously putting things into me, both in spirit, body, and mind, that are nutrition. And it at some point you're going to grow.
Right.
And the funny thing is, why do we quit educating ourselves when we get out of high school or college? For the masses,
Hmm.
except for professionals who have to learn their trade, stay in tune with compliance and things of that nature. But why do we stop growing? Why do we stop learning? Why do we stop picking up a book or listening to a podcast or getting involved in a seminar to learn something that we don't know about yet in order to open up what life can be? Who knows? You might find a vision you never knew you had. You might find the purpose that you were missing. You might have the greatest idea in the world that can really transform a lot of people's lives. But if you don't go in pursuit of that, you'll never know. And then here you are, trapped in that box again. Your nervous system will never allow you out because you're afraid to let it out. It's that little safety, little
Right.
safety net that I always go back to. Well, that safety net's really a trap, it's a cage, it's a prison. You just don't see it that way.
Yeah.
You can't live life being like that till you stretch. Yeah, your nervous system going, face fear. Most of them are what you imagine, not a reality. Is you got to learn that. I understand that's fear. I understand that's protecting me, but just recognize it for what it is. And start identifying it. What emotion triggered it? What is it? Guys especially. What is this emotion that's causing me to feel this way? Why am I angry? Why am I frustrated? Why am I irritated? Why do I go to the bar and get a drink and drink myself to death a lot of times, or just get a buzz or whatever? What am I not facing?
Yeah.
And, things like, I mean, I lived that life.
I mean, that goes hand in hand with women too. It's not just men,
Yeah,
women are
no, but I
in the
mean,
same,
what
situation. They're constantly in some type of denial, about where they're at, what they're doing, what's going on around them,
what is it I don't want to
why they
face?
get into the relationships that they do because they're not willing to face
Yeah.
the
So I put
fear of
on a
being on
mask.
their own or, working through the process. Which I know Trish is going to talk a lot about that tomorrow in the Nugget Lounge. So,
Yeah. So why put
again,
on the mask?
if you
What are you
haven't
afraid of?
if you haven't come to the Nugget Lounge to be a part of our community, we invite you to do that. Here at our podcast, we invite you to like and subscribe. We ask you, to join us in that and give us feedback. We're looking for feedback on, what you're hearing and what we can do to help. Absolutely. We want to know, what can we do to help you? So in closing tonight, we're going to talk about Romans 12:2. Do not conform to the pattern of this world, but be transformed by the renewing of your mind. Then
Hmm.
you will be able to test and approve what God's will is, his good, pleasing, and perfect will. Would you like to dive
Renewal.
into that for a minute?
Yeah, I mean, that's really what it comes down to. He's talking about renewal of the mind, and
Hmm.
the renewal of the mind is getting grounded into the Word of God and getting in connection with Him, and renewing your mind with His Word, His ways, His righteousness. Because if you don't, just consider yourself a battery, and He's the charger.
Right.
Once you come off of the battery charger, you're on your own power, and that's very limiting, and it's limiting in duration.
Mhm.
It's going to fade, and you're going to get into your own mind, and you're going to get into things that are not right, as you're going to believe are right, and it's going to cause a fallacy in a lot of ways, or the results in your life that you're seeing now that you don't like. So renewal of the mind is like renewal of the body. It's renewing the spirit. Everything needs a renewal. Every morning is a recharge.
Right.
Every morning there's new mercies, new blessings, new everything. Everything resets. And if we don't understand that, we're going to get pulled down. We're going to hit a brownout in our battery, and things aren't going to work right. And things aren't start short circuiting. So again, it's important to renew. It's important to understand. Read a book. Read the Bible. Get in a group that grows like ours at Mindful Nugget.
Yeah, get into the community and
Get
actually
in
start
community, the fertile
engaging and,
ground, fertile ground.
letting people know what it is you're looking for, how you're wanting to grow, what are you wanting to build,
Yeah.
because that's how you
So
get the support.
the thing I'll leave everybody with is, again, you don't rise to your goals, but you rise to your identity,
Yeah.
and you rise to what your disciplines were or are not, the lack of. So if you want to fall back into something that's still into creation, or you want to fall back into scarcity, that is your choice. But every time you level up and you keep renewing your mind, you're going to level up. You're not going to be the same as you were yesterday, because you stretched,
Right.
you refreshed. So every time you do that, you're not going to fall back to who you were. The rest of you is catching up. If you can imagine, if you can believe and that you are already this person that you had wanted to be, then you are. Then believe it. Everything else catches up from that. But you must always renew, always, every day. It's not once a week. It's not once a month. It's not every Sunday. It's not once a year in all the resolution. It is the daily small things that you do that create a compounding effect to get the results you're looking for. But it has to be daily. It has to be routine and map it. It's not that hard. It's just getting in conditions. Like I'm a runner. Now, I tell you what, if I go out and run right now, it ain't gonna be pretty, and I'll be sucking wind. So, all
Same
right,
here.
yeah, okay, I'm gonna be sucking wind, and
I'm the
I'm gonna,
walker, not the runner.
I'm gonna
I
feel
will
it,
be
and
the
then I don't
aggressive
want to do
one.
it. I don't want to do it next day. But
Right.
guess what? I'm gonna do it next day because I know that's what I need to do.
What you need to do. Right.
Yeah,
Right.
and
Okay,
I'm
so
gonna
in
get there.
wrapping up tonight, our question to you is who are you becoming? That's our question to everyone, is as we wrap up tonight. Let
What
us
are you
know in the
nervous about, and
comments,
who are you gonna
who are you
become?
becoming?
Mhm.
Absolutely. So, all right, everyone. That was your nugget for today. We hope that you appreciate that. Again, who are you becoming? Post that in the comments. Let us know who you're becoming. Give us your feedback. And
Absolutely.
yep. Thank you, Mr. Willem, for being here with
Yeah.
us tonight. And
Thank
another
you,
month of
Michelle.
Monday is gone. So we'll be back next Monday.
Well,